If you're thinking about investing in rental property, you want to make sure it's a wise investment. There could be a lot of expenses that come along with it.
Our next guest is an expert in property management. Welcome Nancy Braun, the owner of Carolina Property Management. Nancy, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Okay, so if someone is thinking about buying an investment property, do they start by getting a good deal on their mortgage?
That's important.
Okay.
If they're going to use a mortgage, then of course we have preferred lenders that we recommend. And there's more things than just the interest rate. You got to look at the total cost of acquiring the mortgage. So absolutely, that carries with the property for a long time.
Are there any write-offs or any advantages for
There are so many write-offs, and the new taxes have created even more. So I'm not an accountant, but you should speak to your accountant. But you can write off the appreciation, interest rate on your mortgage, maybe interest rate you're paying on your credit cards, your repairs, and 20% of your net income you can write off. Depreciation is a big one. Losses, improvements that you make to the property, personal property, if you buy a lawnmower for the property, your travel expenses when you're visiting the property, maybe your home office, any losses that you had, insurance. So there's a lot of different things.
A lot of incentives to go ahead and do it.
Yes, and make sure your accountant does your taxes so you can take advantage of all of them.
What types of regular maintenance does the landlord have to take care of?
Right. So many times we'll work with an owner of a property and they just figure, hey, I'm done. You guys take care of it. And I'll write them and say, well, we really should do a termite inspection. Termites are very prevalent in Charlotte and they don't realize that they really need to because you're not living in the house yourself. So I would recommend that every year. You should have your furnace and your AC unit checked and do a maintenance check every season. And the painting, you might need to paint the exterior, caulk the exterior, check if there's any water underneath the house. We ask that the tenants change the filters out. So there is ongoing maintenance.
And landlord and tenant relationship, should that be a good one? And why does it even matter if it should?
Oh, of course. Of course, if we're going to take care of them, they're going to take care of us. It's, you know, it's the golden rule. Yeah.
So how do you choose tenants wisely? What advice can you offer there?
So I would strongly urge that you get a property manager because the property managers are trained, hopefully, on screening your applicants. And you want to make sure that you're doing it fairly and in accordance with fair housing rules. And we do our credit check. We do our background criminal check. And we're also going to do landlord verification. We're going to check their income. We're going to make sure that, that they have a good history behind them, that it would be a good tenant to be working with going forward.
And do you also check to see if they're adhering to all the different laws that's set up for landlords?
We want to make sure that we're going to be compliant with all the laws, and the laws are complicated, and we also have to make sure that everything's applied uniformly. So if you're a regular homeowner and you're just dabbling in property management, and you might just innocently say, well, do you have any children? And you decline to rent to the family because they have children and you don't want children messing up your walls. Well, you're going to find yourself in a court with a legal battle because that could be a fair housing violation. So you might innocently get yourself in trouble. An emotional support dog is not a pet. So you might say, no pets allowed, but that's not a pet. It's an emotional support dog. You can't decline that.
It. Okay. How do you get a good deal on landlord insurance? And what do you need to be insured on exactly?
So if you own a number of properties, then you can get a commercial policy. And the commercial policy is much, much easier. So if you're buying and selling and buying and selling, it's much easier rather than you just flipping in the different addresses. So it's much more convenient and less time consuming for you to get it. And usually you get that bulk rate.
How do you establish the rental rate? I don't know, it has to be.
So we do look at the other homes in the area that are renting and what they're renting for. So if there's other properties that have been on the market a long time and they're not renting, we might know, well, that's our cap. We don't want to go that high. But if most of them are renting at a certain range, then we're going to recommend that you stay within that range.
How can Carolina Property Management help people with this process?
So we follow all the rules, and we are, I'm a member of NARPM, which is a National Association of Residential Property Managers, and next week I'll be going to some formal training for a week. So we're always up to date on the current rules, the regulations, and the local rules. And so you want to have a property management company that has other properties, that has experience. I think one of our most valuable attributes is I have have an amazing bookkeeper. So we have accounting software that really can make it a lot easier for that homeowner to deal with their taxes and make sure that we're putting all the security deposits in a trust account, because even as a regular homeowner, you can't just put the security deposit in a regular bank account. So we're also going to save them money. We rent our properties quicker than you're going to rent them. We have thousands of tenants in our database, so we're going to get that property rented. So even if you're trying to save a little bit here and do it yourself, if you get the property rented a month earlier than you would have, it's a wash on the cost.
It is a wash on the cost. Oh, last question, what about the technical rate of services for this that you talked about?
Our rates?
Typical
rate.
Well,
Yes.
usually you're going to pay an upfront marketing fee, and that's to help acquire the new tenant and get the property marketed, and that could be anywhere from a half to a full month's of rent. And then there's usually a percentage of the rental income as it comes in. And landlords all across charge different percentages. Typical, you could say 10% might be something that you might see in the industry.
Well, if you'd like more information, you can get a free copy of Nancy's special report, 5 Ways to Get Top Dollar on Your Rental Property. You can find it at nancyhasthentenants.com, nancyhasthentenants.com, or you can call Nancy directly at 704-488-3109. Again, 704-488-3109. Nancy Braun, thank you so much. A pleasure as always.